social isolation caused by his extreme fame. The point is that doing anything truly great requires some sort of sacrifice or trade-off that may or may not be immediately obvious. Not living Hey friends, so this is another mini-sode in which I am just gonna drop some thoughts in your head and ask you why you want it all. I just want to ask you right now, why do you want everything? Why do you see something that someone does and then you go, oh, I want that now? Why is it that you are working for some company, for years and years and years to climb to the top, and then all of a sudden you see a movie and you go, I want to be an actor now? Or why is it that you have been working so hard on a book, and then all of a sudden you listen to a song and you start singing in the car with that same song, and you go, oh gosh, I just want to be a musician, but I don't want to write anymore. I want to just procrastinate my book, and I want to procrastinate all these other things. And you try to become everything, and then all of a sudden you have to live to the quote that is honestly the best quote in the world. And I don't know if it's the best quote in the world, but I'll say it's pretty up there. And that is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And so, if focus is one of your problem areas, then this episode is for you. I want to invite you, though, for a very awesome opportunity, an experience to have. If you have certain questions that you're trying to formulate yourself to start living the quality life that you feel like you deserve, I have a free PDF that I'm emailing to people just as a way to get inside the community, because I believe it's community that will create more opportunities and experiences that you want to start having, and start staying focused on those. So just email me, logan@logantylernelson.com. I also want to do a shout out to my new friend that I met at Complete Nutrition. His name is Aiden over at Complete Nutrition. It's in Springfield, Illinois. He has an awesome supplement store at 2833 South Veterans Parkway. So if you are in the area of Springfield, Illinois, definitely check him out. He's got some really great stuff. But I talk about him just because I went into their store and they just gave me free supplements to try out. And then he talked about more free stuff and free values that he was giving away. And he's like, hey, you ever need a pre-workout, man? Just hop in here. We'll get you some pre-workout, and then you can go do your workout, no charge. And that's what I just want to talk about a little bit, is that business and how do you do business is you just got to make friends first. So anyways, that's a little bit of a little shout out that I wanted to do to Aiden just because he took care of me that day. Also, another thing is, back onto what I was talking about, is the main topic of this episode is why you feel like you need to do everything. But the truth is, like John Lee Dumas would say, follow one course until success. I love that acronym because it's true. You got to follow one course until you succeed. And you can do multiple different things during the day, but I really think it'll help you if you just start thinking about this why having it all might not be all that it's cracked up to be. So, thing is, when I was 2 years old, I learned how to ice skate. When I was 4 years old, I learned how to ride a bike. And then I was 15 and I was nationally ranked as a snowboarder. And then I was in motocross, and then I was an actor. I was also, at one point, a voice impressionist. So much to the point where I would just hang out by myself and do impressions. So, if you don't believe me at all, honestly, I'll ask Morgan Freeman to come on one of these days and, well, my name's Morgan Freeman, and I do appreciate your entire nation should try to do an impression of me, and I approve this message. That's terrible, Morgan Freeman, right? Anyways, the point is I keep trying, and I keep zigging and zagging and going from place to place. And finally, I just had to ask myself, can I do everything? And it's hard to accept that the answer is sometimes no. So you got to get down to business. If you're taking an economics class, one of the first things you learn is the concept called opportunity cost, an idea often illustrated with the quote, "There's no such thing as a free lunch." Opportunity cost means that essentially everything you do, no matter what it is, costs something, even if it's indirectly. The classic example is when someone takes you out to lunch for free. Despite gaining the value of the lunch during that hour, you are giving up all the other productive activities you could have potentially been doing. So you give up doing an extra hour of work, an extra hour of sleep, an extra hour of sales calls. That could score you a new client. An extra hour of working, an extra hour of practicing your poetry writing, or an extra hour writing to hone your writing skills, or an extra hour of playing with your Rubik's Cube to actually solve the damn thing. I know, that's a lot, but it's in our culture. We regularly celebrate people who become rich by doing exceptional things. But the nature of those exceptional things often requires extremely high opportunity costs. Bill Gates has famously slept in his own car and office for 5 days straight and remained single until his 30s. Steve Jobs was also a deadbeat father to his first daughter. He wore the same black turtleneck because he was afraid of taking an extra minute to wear something different, especially when that minute could have aided him to making a better iPhone. Brad Pitt can't leave his house without being bombarded by flashbulbs and cameras. The man has stated that he's gone through periods of depression due to social isolation caused by his extreme fame. The point is that doing anything truly great requires some sort of sacrifice or trade-off that may or may not be immediately obvious. Not living a normal life because you have constant anxiety about moving the needle forward in your company is a trade-off that you might have to take. But here's the main problem. Modern society multiplies our opportunities by giving out more information and trying to inspire and get your attention. Therefore, modern society also costs you a lot of time and energy instead of actually putting down what you don't need to do anymore, what you really need to start doing. As much as I hate it, I'm going to say that you might have to realize that FOMO is just part of it all. The fear of missing out. We live a life that is constantly pelted with reminders of everything we are unable to become. And that is why a lot of us become super down and sad, and even some of us think we're just nothing. And those few thoughts can lead to depression. About 250 years ago, though, way before you were around, way before I was around. If you were born a blacksmith, you likely didn't have many opportunities beyond forging and morphing some sort of metal and making it awesome. Therefore, devoting everything in your life to becoming the best blacksmith you can become. Just you, not any better than anybody else, but just the best blacksmith you personally could become. Well, you didn't have FOMO. You didn't have this fear of missing out on something. After all, there was nothing else to miss out on. In a really particular and peculiar way, people back in the day could have it all. They had it all for the fact that there was nothing else for them to really miss out on. They've just had limiting beliefs, but in a good way. They didn't believe that they could be a million things because they weren't being exposed to those millions of ideas. Until about a decade ago, this whole life purpose thing came up. And so your so-called life purpose crisis is a luxury, something you've allowed yourself to feel like now you're free and you have all these opportunities. But the modern world has presented you with this, if you're not this, then you're a failure idea. There's a ton of articles all over the mainstream media debating whether it's possible to have it all. Is it possible to be an all-star in your career, have a healthy family life, and have cool and fun hobbies, and be financially stable, and have that sexy bikini body, cook organic stir-fry in your underwear while buying Aldi packages, and also, being in the front of, your favorite magazine. So all these things are just bombarding you all the time. So what the heck has to change? What's really going to change us? What's changed is our ability to manage our time and balance our lives between work and play. What's changed is that we have opportunities for work and play more than ever before. More interest, more awareness of every potential experience we're passing up. In short, we have more opportunity costs. Like I was saying with the very beginning, that's what economics teaches you. Well, it applies to life too. And because we're made aware of this, we don't often connect in the things that really are meaningful to us. Every person who has decided to sacrifice their dating life to advance their career is now bombarded constantly by the rambunctious, I'm just going to say it, sex lives of someone on an Instagram, or the rambunctious high school sweethearts that just got married on Instagram. And you're like, okay, now I suck because I'm working really hard in my career, but I've never fallen in love. So now you feel terrible about yourself. And it's not easy, and it's making you more depressed, and it's making everyone around you more depressed, even if they're not coming out and saying it. So, what the hell do you do? How do you respond to this overly connected culture? How do we manage our FOMO? I'm going to say take naps. Just take more naps. No, but seriously, the answer is, I think, getting yourself around people that are doing things that are similar to you. To actually restrict yourself from certain social medias, just because you know if you go on there, you'll be brought to tears. To actually restrict yourself from trying to be someone that you're just not. To actually listen to your gut and go, this is the thing that I need to be doing right now because, well, I've committed to it. What if the solution is simply accepting our bounded possibilities, our uncomfortable situation that we're in, and adopting habits that, even though they might be very, very, very boring, they ultimately make you you. When we try to do everything and try to fill out that checklist of having it all, we're attempting to live a valueless life, A life where everything is equally gained and nothing is lost. When everything is necessary and desired equally, then nothing is necessarily or desired at all. We're spinning our wheels without going anywhere. And I may be wrong, but I truly know I'm not. I know I'm not the person who can have it all. Because honestly, no one can have it all. But I will say that you can do anything you set your mind to. Take a made-up guy, like, I don't know, Tyler, for example. Tyler has a job he hates and has become disconnected from the friends and activities he once cared about. He says he's depressed. He says he feels like he's lost himself. He says that he doesn't know how to impact the world anymore, and he thought he wanted to. I want you to think about Tyler. And he works at a neurological advancement place. He and his team are working on helping people quit their addiction to cigarettes via brain hacking while they sleep. Quitting his job out of the question, he then questioned himself, what should I do? What do you think he should do? Should he quit his job and be with his friends more and stay on track? Or maybe grind and stay on track? And even though I may sound like God when I talk like Morgan Freeman, yes, yes, Morgan. I'll stop that now. But I bet you believe the answer lies somewhere wherein maybe doing less is where you can find the truth. Doing less, not trying to be everything. Steve Jobs chose a different path. He chose the path of attempting to honestly rehabilitate his relationships at the end of his life. And you know how the story goes. Steve Jobs' net worth was $10.2 billion, and his estate is roughly worth $19 billion. That's a shit ton of zeros. But apparently Steve Jobs made a decision that went beyond wearing a black turtleneck at the end of his life. About 12 months before he died, Jobs admitted to his biographer that he hadn't spoke to Lisa, his daughter, for about a year after an argument they had. The falling out included him yelling at her, and she just didn't want to listen to him. She said that, "You're not my father." And the thing is, he had to take that sacrifice. He had to take that pain that he received from his own daughter. And so it really comes down to that question of, do you really want it all? I really want to beat this into your head because I think it's a very emotional question and very hard question to answer. Do you really want it all? Look at all the celebrities. They'll tell you right now that money, fame, isn't the thing that they ultimately wanted at the end. All they wanted is to create. They wanted to sometimes have to sacrifice certain things for that. So this FOMO, fear of missing out, that you think you have, restrict it. And with all that said, don't ever forget you matter and you're enough. And please click the subscribe button if you want to listen to every single new episode that rolls out. And that'll give you the ability to do that. And if you found this informative, inspirational, leave a review. And I'd love to read it out on the show. And I'm also in the process of writing a book and telling my story. And I think that the reason why I'm actually getting this done is because of podcasting. So if you've ever had the inkling of a podcast idea for yourself, but you just don't know where to go, I'm helping out just a few people, only a few people, with this process, just because I know how confusing and hard it can get to launch your podcast and actually get started and become an authority in whichever area you are really curious about and start scratching your own itch in. So, I said it before and I'll always say it again and again and again. You matter and you're enough.